I've been focused on making my VR game actually fun to play. There's a bunch of different methods for making games funner to play, and I'm going to kind of look into a few of them in the video. So originally I had a consistent knockback no matter where you shot the gun. So if you shot it up, down, left, right, hit an enemy, didn't hit an enemy, it would always do a fixed knockback. We can make this funner to play with by separating horizontal, vertical, and if they hit an enemy or not, and rewarding certain behaviours. So before we had a knockback of 1, no matter what. Now we can reward going horizontally with a knockback of modifier of 1.5. We can incentivize the player to kill enemies. That's the knockback modifier of, let's say, 2. And together this is making the gameplay a lot more diverse and different. Another major thing to add is to make the enemies actually more fun to kill. So before, enemies kind of just disappeared into thin air. I've implemented particle effects and some sound effects. You can see here what it looks like without any particles, and now with sound effects and stuff, it adds a lot more flavour to the kill and makes it a lot funner to play. An important thing to add to the game is enemy variants. Fighting the exact same enemy for the entire game is going to be rather boring, so looking at this table, which is a fairly useful guide to see what type of enemies you could implement into a game, we're going to implement a tank type enemy so it can shoot, because there's a lot of issues with the fact that you can kind of just fly forever and avoid the melee. Implementing this adds a bit of variety and allows for more interesting dynamics with enemies, how they work together and how they function separately. Another thing that's been massively improved upon is the map editing system. In a previous video I mentioned how I'm using Trenchroom. I've now implemented a bunch of entities into the map editor, so it's easy to make levels quickly. So if we look into this, we have a variety of different entities we can place down and combine to make levels pretty fast and pretty easy. Let's look at an example from this. So let's say we want to make a spawn system where we have to kill 5 enemies, and once we kill 5 enemies the door is going to be open. We can do this with 5 entities. So we'll have an auto start at the start. This just simply calls the very first spawner to begin the spawning, and then every single time an enemy is killed, the spawner will call these 2 condition nodes. These 2 condition nodes will check if we've killed 5 enemies, and one of them will trigger if true, one of them will trigger if false. So if true, we'll just spawn another enemy, and if it's false, we'll open the door. This allows us to make pretty decent maps really quickly, and allows me to basically not touch coding when I'm making maps, because everything is visually in the editor, as you can see here. The more generic the level creation is, the faster it is to make a shit ton of maps. The more maps it makes, the more content the game has, and therefore the more value the game provides. So this method, although it doesn't produce the best looking maps, the gameplay is pretty fun, and it's very quick to develop maps. This first map was developed in like 10 minutes, and you make far better maps with more time. And that's pretty much the progress I've made. I made a Discord as well if you're interested in tracking the development of the game. That link will be in the description. And obviously you can follow my Twitter, which I post updates fairly regularly on that as well.